Hi and welcome back. Today we're going to be discussing installation of a SP9000 SidePuller. The unit we're going to be using today is the SP9000 without integrated controls, but the procedures that we're going to be showing you are very similar for the SP9000 with integrated controls, along with the SP12000 and the SP20000. I have to put my disclaimer here that due to changes in our designs, we really recommend that you go to intheditch.com, download the latest installation guidelines so you'll always be up to date if we should change anything. Now we're going to give you an overview of what to expect when your side puller shows up. All of the side pullers that we manufacture at In the Ditch will ship out with a shipping stand as shown here. We also include all of the mounting hardware and brackets that you're going to need to install your side puller. Another thing to point out is that there is a safety device here that we ship that will need to be removed later on in the video. We do that to help keep the leg from vibrating out during transport down the road. Now it's time to move over to laying out the frame and getting ready to mount your side puller. And I can't overemphasize enough that it's very important that you go to our technical drawings on our website at intheditch.com and familiarize yourself with the required minimum and maximum chassis recommendations as well as our mounting options. Again, I just want to point out that this video is a guideline and each installation may vary slightly. But the main thing I want you to do is get familiar with the measurements and the pieces that come on your side puller. Here we're measuring the mounting plates, and as you can see, they're approximately 14.5 inches in width. When we lay out our side puller, we're going to be referencing everything off of the back of the cab. Keep in mind that when you install your SP9000, it's going to take up this space right in here behind the cab. So it's imperative that you've done a little bit of pre-planning before you just go sticking this thing on. We recommend that you lay masking tape on top of the frame rail so it's easy to see your marks when you make your Sharpie marks. We recommend that you use a square of some sort to go from the back of the cab down to the frame rails, and we recommend that you put a mark on both the driver's side and passenger side. We didn't show it in this video, but it's important that you take some other reference points from the back of the frame forward. The starting marks that you use are absolutely parallel with the frame. The next step in the process is to determine how much cab spacing from the back of the cab to the side puller. How much space in there do you want? And we recommend a minimum of 2 inches to a maximum of whatever distance that you choose. Now on this particular installation, we're going to go with a 4-inch clearance. The reason that this is such a variable is some people like their side puller closer to the cab, some like them further away from the cab. But it's really up to you as the installer to take your measurements and you make the determination of which is the proper amount of spacing to give yourself. Since we've decided on 4 inches, we're going to go from our back of the cab measurement and come rearward on the frame rail 4 inches and make a mark. This mark is going to align with the back side of the side puller, as you can see here in the photo. Now as we move up on the side puller, you also have to be aware to make sure that you have adequate clearance at the top. There are some cabs that tend to lean back, like in this one, and that's why we chose 4 inches at the bottom, which resulted in about 2.5 inches of gap at the top. Okay, now that we have both sides of the frame clearly laid out, we're going to go ahead and remove any existing bolts that may be hindering or obstructing the installation of your side puller. Now we're going to install the mounting plates on each side of the frame rail. And here we're pointing out the alignment of your marks to make sure that the back of the cab mark and also the back of the side puller mark align with your mounts. It's very imperative here that you take the time to make sure the mount on the right and the left side are parallel with each other. You don't want these mounts out of alignment or cattywampus because it'll make installation very difficult. Here, it turns out on this install that there was a cross member in the way, so we're going to go ahead and use the existing bolts in the cross member as mounting bolts. So here we're back marking the mounting plates from the inside of the frame rail out. Now we're also going to install some extra bolt holes. So we're going to go from our mounting plate the other direction and go through the frame rail. Here we're laying out the holes, and we're just giving you an idea of how to quickly measure these and reference them using masking tape, a pin, and a tape measure. Again, I really would encourage you to consult the latest installation guideline at intheditch.com, because in there we really outline the recommended amount of bolts and fasteners that are used when you're installing your side puller. Now that all the pilot holes are drilled and all your marks are on the frame, we recommend that you either punch holes out, as we're doing here on the iron worker, out of your mounting plates, or drill the holes. Now that you've finished either punching or drilling holes into the mounting plates, it's time to drill the holes in the frame rail. Here you can see we've aligned our Hogan magnetic drill up with the holes that we had pre-marked earlier when we drilled through the mounting plates using the 1/8 inch drill bit. Now you have all of the holes in your mounting plates and the frame rails, and it's time to go ahead and bolt the mounting plates to the frame rail using the fasteners that are shipped with your side puller. Now we're going to install the driver's side mounting plate. After we've installed and tightened all the bolts on this side and torqued them to the proper specifications, we're going to install the mount onto the passenger side and repeat the same process. Now that your mounting plates are installed, it's time to go set the side puller on. In this video, we're going to be lifting the side puller using the In the Ditch lifting attachment. And this attachment will fit the SP8000, the SP9000, and the SP12000 series side puller. Works out really great. It helps keep the side puller leveled and well balanced. Just remove the center boom head, slide the lifting attachment up through it, and attach a shackle. I do want to point out that this is an optional attachment and you need to purchase it separately, as it does not come with your side puller. Now we're going to remove the bolts that bolt the side puller to the mounting stand, and we recommend that you throw them bolts away when you're done with them. Now we're going to lift the side puller up off of the lifting stand and set it onto the truck. It goes without saying, never get yourself underneath an unsupported load. Make sure you use extreme caution when lifting, and make sure all of your rigging is rated for the load that you're lifting. Now that the side puller is set in place, it's time to align it from side to side, because with our slotted mounting brackets, it is possible for the side puller to be mounted one side or the other. So here we're going to go ahead and measure and set both sides at the same distance. Once the side puller is where you want it, we'd like you to put blue Loctite, medium strength Loctite on all the mounting bolts, and install the nut plate up inside the backer of the mounting plate. It's important to point out that we recommend that all of these bolts be put in just finger tight before you start the tightening process, and that's due to the adjustability of the mounts. We want everything to come together nice and evenly. So here we're pre-tightening all of the nuts and bolts, and then we're going to follow up with a torque wrench. And again, many of you out there overlook torquing, and I think it's a very critical aspect of doing a proper installation of your side puller. We've worked very hard with our engineering team to come up with the proper grade of bolt, the right amount of fasteners, but all of that is predicated on you using the proper amount of torque. Now we're going to begin the plumbing process, and I really want to make sure that I point out to you at this stage that we do offer 2 models of the SP9000 and also 2 models of the SP12000. This model is the SP9000 without integrated controls. So what that means is we're going to use the car carrier or the rollbacks controls when we plumb this. So on this particular carrier, the customer ordered it from the factory with side puller controls already installed. So all we have to do now is take the hoses from that valve and then hook them up to the side puller. If your truck does not have extra valves already installed, you would want to order our SP9000 with integrated controls. And with integrated controls, all of the valving, the wireless remote control, and everything is already pre-installed for you. All you need to do is provide a hydraulic pressure in and out and a 12-volt power source, and it's ready to roll. Now we're going to go ahead and continue with the hydraulic hose routing and installation. All of the In the Ditch side pullers come with our wire routing system pre-installed on the back of the side puller. So you can see here it's very easy to zip tie your hoses or wiring to the back of the side puller. Now all that's left is to tidy up your hose routing and zip tie them so all your hoses are nicely tucked out of the way. Now after all the hoses are routed, tied up, everything's tightened, and you've double checked everything, we recommend you start the truck and run the hydraulic system. Here we're going to ask that you retract all of the cylinders, so lift both cylinders up, and then check the winch rotation to make sure that you have the hoses hooked up properly. It's very important to point out that correct winch rotation is as shown. The reason we asked you to retract all the cylinders is that your side puller is shipped from in the ditch with this safety bar, and that needs to be removed before you push the leg down. The reason we include this safety bar is to keep the side puller leg from drifting down during transport. So after you've retracted both cylinder legs, be sure to remove both of these safety bars. After you've discarded the safety bar, please check the leg operation and make sure that everything moves fluidly in and out and that there's no binding or no air in the system. Now before you reinstall the center boom head, we recommend that you lubricate that. Here we're using a spray-on grease. You can use any type of moly grease or graphite-based grease. We also recommend that you lubricate the center sheave one more time before sending the truck out into service. After the center boom head is installed, please rotate it side to side to make sure that it moves without any binding. Okay, now it's time to install the wire rope on your side puller. When you put the wire rope into the thimble, it's very important that it goes all the way through and that you tighten the set screw up to the proper torque settings. It's very important that you maintain a minimum of 5 wraps of wire rope on the drum at all times before you put any significant load to the drum. Here we're going to go ahead and spool it in, and we really recommend that you put tension, such as a forklift or a pickup on the other end of the wire rope when you're spooling it on so that the drum spools under tension. Now we've completed the initial installation of the side puller, and we're going to progress into mounting of the light bar. On this particular truck, we're going to show you the proper installation guidelines for our SP series swept wing light pylon. We worked really long and hard with a lot of towing companies to develop a light bar that would get your lighting out to the outside of the truck and was adjustable in height, because certain people like their light bar way above the cab, some like it below the cab. So we made this adjustable light pylon to make installation easier. For today's application, we're going to mount the light pylon flush with the top of the cab. Once you've slid the pylon over the mounting brackets, we recommend that you use a tape measure to make sure it's parallel from side to side or level across the top. Once you've established that the pylon is parallel and where you want it, we recommend that you clamp it and then go ahead and begin drilling out the mounting holes. Now we've completed the installation of the light pylon. To help you better understand how to install a light bar and alley lights, we're going to go ahead and remove the light pylon and turn it upside down so it's a little bit easier to see what's going on. Here we've removed the stainless steel panel from the light pylon, and we're going to pre-wire an alley light. Now that you've installed the alley light, we want to make sure that as you rotate it left and right and forward and backward that there's adequate length in the wire so the wire doesn't bind as you rotate the light. Now we're going to go ahead and install the light bar, and as everybody knows, there's hundreds of different light bars on the market, and the choice is yours which light bar you use. But I do want to point out that, you can mount a regular light bar in the center, but you can also mount emergency lights out on the swept wing portion if you want. Another thing we've done to try to make installation easier is we've installed our in the ditch wire routing system, and on the back side of the pylon there's little oval holes where you can zip tie all your electrical wiring to, as we're going to show you here. And it's really nice and clean, sanitary way to route all the wiring from the light bar down underneath the truck. I'd really encourage you to leave a little bit of extra cabling for future use. If you ever decide you want to raise your light bar more, you'll have a little bit extra length in your wiring here. Now to complete the installation of the light bar, we need to install the last piece of stainless steel. As I've said throughout the video, we really recommend you follow all of our guidelines for fastener installation, torque, and tightening sequences. On this particular pylon, we recommend that you use blue medium strength Loctite on all the fasteners. As these trucks are going down the road, they're vibrating and shaking a lot, and we want to make sure that all the fasteners stay put. Now we're down to the last step of your side puller installation, and that's by covering up everything with our side puller accent panel. One of the things that we found is it's a lot easier to remove the protected film around the bolts if you peel them back before you tighten the bolts up, as we've shown here. And that concludes the installation of the SP9000 without integrated controls. I truly hope you enjoyed this video. We've done our absolute best to try to make installation of this side puller easier for you to do, and we're going to be doing more videos in the future, so we welcome all of your feedback. As always, I really want to thank you for spending some time with us today, and I know how valuable time is, and the fact that you took the time out of your day to spend with us and watch this video really means the world to us. If you have any further questions, feel free to contact the staff here at In the Ditch. And as always, thank you, and I'll see you in the ditch.